12 o'clock, welcome to Star Midday News here on Star 103.5 FM. My name is Awisi, Dede, Jange. And this afternoon, management of GRA assures business community that Rambo-style tax mobilization days are over.
Now, GRA is customer-centric. Because without taxes, we can't grow our nation.
Private legal practitioner Kwame Jantwa demands detailed explanation from government on how it's going to settle the controversial Trafigura judgment debt.
Do we have 111 million to spare? Do we? So let them come and tell us how we are going to finance this.
Meanwhile, the National Democratic Congress vows to ensure accountability when giving the nod in December.
Let no one go out of power with the illusion that a future NDC government will not investigate some of this.
And also ahead.
After 35. After 40. Or probably 45.
You are setting the standard.
But
if you are waiting to be rich before you marry, your head is not working. You don't want to marry, but you are sleeping together. What is reserved for marriage? You want it, but you don't want the process. Your head is hurting you.
Well, also in this broadcast, as we explore the perfect age for marriage and whether true love needs wealth as a foundation. And later in the bulletin, we'll tell you a story of a 15-year-old girl who has published her second book. Her first was at 8. Details of these stories and many more coming up shortly. Stay with me.
Star News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, MyStar Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Star 1035 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Star 103.5 FM. Star News. Informed, in depth, in touch.
Thank you so much for choosing us this afternoon. The news is coming to you live from our Platinum studio here, and it's also streaming live on Facebook at Star FM. This afternoon, management of the Ghana Revenue Authority has assured the business community of reforms in its revenue mobilization drive. According to the authority, the Rambo-style ways of tax mobilization is a thing of the past now. Addressing the members of Press Corps during a workshop on operations of the authority, Deputy Commissioner in charge of operations, Daniel Edisi, stated his outfit is more focused on engagement with taxpayers instead of deployment of force. Take a listen to him.
The business community is ready to engage us. And I believe that, like I did say, taxation is a bit technical. So you need to explain and explain and explain. And that is what we are trying to do. Now, GRA is customer-centric. And please, carry this message across and then let's together. Because without taxes, we can't grow our nation. We can't do anything. We go out there to collect loans and other things. It is somebody's citizen that have paid the taxes. We also must be endeavored to pay. GRA is ready to educate, to use channels like this to be able to reach out there for us to the importance of what the taxation that we need to pay. I believe with this day that you are going to have this training, all of you would understand and be able to send a message out there so that will be seen as what development, partners in development, and not any other person to harass anybody.
So he had the Deputy Commissioner in charge of operations with GRA, Daniel Edisi, Meanwhile, the Securities and Exchange Commission says it will intensify its regulatory oversight to enable fintech companies test innovative solutions under controlled conditions. The Director General of Securities and Exchange Commission, Reverend Daniel Tete, says the Commission is transitioning from a compliance-based supervision framework to a risk-based framework. Take a listen to him.
Fintech, digital currencies, and blockchain technology presents us with unprecedented opportunities to revolutionize the way we conduct business. At the SEC, we are actively advancing a regulatory sandbox environment to enable fintech startups to test their innovative solutions under controlled conditions. We believe that innovation thrives in an environment where experimentation is encouraged within a regulated regime. We are also working on regulations that will support the introduction of new products into our markets. Account excellence is the bedrock of trust, and confidence in our markets is unwavering ethical conduct. We must uphold the highest standards of integrity, transparency, and accountability in all our dealings. The fight against fraud, corruption, and market abuse demands our eternal vigilance. The SEC is committed to strengthening our enforcement mechanisms, enhancing market surveillance, and promoting investor education to ensure that ethical conduct remains at the forefront of our financial markets. Currently, the SEC is transitioning from a compliance-based supervision framework to a risk-based supervision framework. Additionally, we are overhauling our enabling acts, that is the Securities Industry Act 2016 Act 929, and are also in execution mode of an aggressive and sustained investor education campaign across the country.
Reverend Daniel Tete is the Director General of Securities and Exchange Commission speaking there. Away from that, a private legal practitioner, Kwame Jantua, is demanding details from government on how it's going to settle the controversial Trafigura judgment debt. This follows a ruling by the District Court of Columbia in favor of the Ghana Power Generation Company, ordering Ghana to pay in excess of $111 million plus post-judgment interest. But considering the state of the current economy, the legal practitioner has expressed skepticism about how government intends paying this debt.
Was it a question because it was NDC who brought the, what you call it, or they were trying to find fault somewhere? Was that the reason? Look, from 2017 to 2022, we've paid more than 300 million Ghana cedis in judgment debt. So this assertion that the Attorney General has helped Ghana not pay judgment debts is halfway not true. So we are saddled with how much? 111 million.
Yeah.
Has it bond cabinet? Is the president aware of this?
Obviously, he will be.
And what has he said about it?
Nothing that we know of yet.
Shouldn't heads roll? Those who were supposed to act on behalf of the country, shouldn't heads roll? Should we just sit and take it just like that? Especially where we find ourselves today. Do we have 111 million to spare? Do we? So let them come and tell us how we are going to finance this. Are they going on appeal? At this point, through their own non-activity, can they go on an appeal? It is real useless money that we are going to throw away. Because if it's out of trying to find fault and trying to make someone look stupid, it has turned to us, hasn't it? If you're saying Jamahama spent X amount of money and what they brought, there was corruption inside, do you not investigate it to the last letter?
Private legal practitioner Kwame Jantua there. Meanwhile, the National Democratic Congress vows to ensure accountability when giving the nod in December.
When Nanado assumed office, he came with the mindset to undo all what the NDC had done in the last 8 years. And you hear them say it. The agenda was to kill the National Democratic Party, Congress, as a political party. But what they did not know was that they were not doing it to the National Democratic Congress, but they were causing havoc to this country. And that is why we have series of some of these things. And let no one go out of power with the illusion that a future NDC government will not investigate some of these things, because this is a huge loss that could have been avoided. Clearly, willful causation of financial loss to the state. And some people must account for subjecting Ghana to this particular spectacle. The interesting thing is that we are talking about approximately $150 million to $140 million as far as the judgment debt is concerned. You know what that could have been done? Per the mathematics, you can get not less than 2,000 chips compounds that President Mahama built. If you are even taking President Mahama's course, you can get not less than 2,000 chip compounds dotted across this country. You can get not less than 8 clinics with a bed capacity of over 100. They say they are doing Agenda 111. This amount of money would have been vital seeing through that process. So that is an important loss that they have subjected the state to as a result of their incompetence and recklessness, largely because they were out to undo the National Democratic Congress and the legacy of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Well, about 67.5% of youth who participated in the Youth and Opportunity Transformation in Africa aspire to be self-employed, while a number of them want to travel outside to pursue their education. Lead researcher with the organization, Dr. Thomas Yeboah, highlighted the dynamics of the report and also gave some recommendation to policymakers during a media engagement in Accra. Take a listen to him.
The fact that a lot of the young people were looking at establishing themselves as entrepreneurs or self-employed, what it means is that the atmosphere or the climate for businesses to thrive has to be there. Access to power, access to financial credit, access to skills training. A lot of interventions are being done, but still a lot of young people do not have access. So if we can expand these access to resources to enable the young people establish themselves, skills training is very important, business management training is very important, and then also access to all forms of resources that can enable an entrepreneur to thrive. Those were the recommendations we put forward to government. And for donors, we were saying that if they are funding anything that has to do with young people, they need to make sure that a key requirement is that if it is a government-funded project or an NGO-led funded project, they should center youth voices or involve young people as a key component of that kind of funding they give. And for youth civil society, their advocacy that they keep doing, we also emphasize that they should continue to do that and ensure that they help build the skills of young people and then youth organizations that are involved in this space of youth development and employment and education.
So he has a lead researcher with the Youth and Opportunity Transformation in Africa, Dr. Thomas Yeboah. Meanwhile, senior research lead for decentralization and value chain specialist with the Associate for Change, Dr. James Adam, raised concerns about the disparities and inequalities in the educational system.
The distribution of resources like ICT infrastructure and digital tools has not been at equal par. So if you realize from the study, so it shows that there's prospects between the urban and the rural. The essence of inequality in access to some of these resources persists, and this is worrying, particularly for the girl child who is located in the deprived, extreme rural context. What is significant is that this study by the lead researchers together with the youth researchers have exposed further the disparity between the rural and the urban. What then is more important for us as stakeholders is to dwell on the research findings and advocate for equal distribution of resources, not only infrastructure like school buildings, not only ICT tools and equipment for the rural poor.
You're still listening to the Star Midday News. My name is Awisi Dede Jange. Still to come, 52-year-old man arrested in Sawam for alleged possession of EC biometric device. And also ahead, we'll explore the perfect age for marriage and whether true love needs wealth as a foundation following controversial advice by actress Nanama McGraw. And 52-year-old man Samuel Yao Cranton has been arrested in Sawam for allegedly possessing a biometric verification device believed to belong to the Electoral Commission of Ghana. The suspect, who resides in Tudu, Accra, was apprehended this morning by local residents. Well, upon hearing of the arrest, some members of the opposition NDC rushed to the scene to capture videos and pictures of both the suspect and the device before handing Cranton over to the police. In a video, the suspect, Samuel Cranton, claimed that he received the device from an individual named Farouk. The incident has reignited concerns surrounding the security of EC's biometric systems. We'll bring you further updates in our subsequent bulletin. But back to education-related stories. She wrote her first book, a novel on child kidnapping, at 8. At 15, Samuela Osai has published her second book. This young lady's new book, which tells an emotive story about the price to pay for chastity, has begun receiving positive reviews. Ultimate FM Hyvan Heathcote Fumado has more in the story.
For me, I thought kidnapping wasn't real. I thought it was far away. But when I witnessed that incident, I knew that it could happen to anyone.
Samuela Osai wrote her first book when she was just 8 years old. The Strangest Toffees told a story about child kidnapping.
I wrote my book to advise the youth to be alert and aware of the shocking tactics that kidnappers use to lure children.
At 11, the story of a brilliant girl child who was sent back to the village after getting pregnant inspired her to write Letitia the Chaste Girl.
With my peers dating at this stage and with that brilliant girl getting pregnant and going back to the village, I knew that I can use that incident to write my second book.
The book describes your perfect, intelligent and well-mannered young girl called Letitia. The story of this main character turns tragic after getting influenced by peers to enter an amorous relationship with a hired boyfriend.
Letitia got influenced in the end and she started dating the boy. When it got to that part of my story, divided attention, those who praised her, they were all disappointed. So it's emotional.
Samuela's mother, Rebecca Osai, recounts how 15-year-old Samuela fell in love with books at a very tender age.
Anytime we are from so or study school, nursery, KG, class 1, anytime we are no book or trotro. So say one day the Strangest Toffees with incidents.
Headmaster for the Matters of Uganda Basic School, where Samuela just completed JHS, Anthony Akansisi, says the book, which addresses a growing societal concern of immorality and sexual indulgence amongst the youth, couldn't have come at a better time.
When she came to Form 1 and she showed the first book to me, I was surprised at that age. For a student had to write such a book. Even those who are at the university, they are trying to even write their thesis. And these things going on in our schools. Some start from the primary, as she said, but we are not able to identify until they reach DHS level. But these things are also happening in our churches. So I will entreat everybody to patronize this book.
Samuela's hope is that this book, Letitia the Chaste Girl, reaches every child with her simple message: chastity pays.
Yes, it pays to be chaste. 1, you are self-disciplined, people will respect you. And 2, you can be able to reach your goal. And 3, you won't lose your beauty as a girl, because once you get pregnant at this age, you will be frustrated.
The 174-page book has already received commendable reviews as Samuela looks forward for support to propagate its content in all schools. For Star News, Ivan Heathcote Fumado, Ultimate FM, Kumasi.
So you had there a story of a 15-year-old young lady who has published her second book. While Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana has described calls from some players in the commercial shipping industry for President Akufo-Addo to halt his assent to the Ghana Shippers Authority Law 2024 as unfounded. According to the association's president, Samson Azaki Awingobet, the law in its current form ensures that every stakeholder in the commercial shipping value chain acts responsibly and is held accountable for their operations.
We were told that even this Parent Act has the membership of in the board considered to add AGI, Chamber of Commerce, and Ghana Union of Traders in this current Parent Act that was Shippers Authority Parent Act that was amended. Again, they agreed that they were going to set up an ad hoc committee who will comprise with the stakeholders and the Shippers Authority and government so that we will draft out the LI to properly regulate or to properly do the implementation. For the Ghana Shippers Authority to invite us to form that ad hoc committee that will look into the LI. And so I was so surprised to see today that my colleagues have issued a statement saying that the president should not sign.
Now, to a rather controversial conversation, we talk about marriage. Actress Nanama McBrown says she endorses marriage after 35 years for females and 40 years for males. Well, she recently made this assertion on Star Chat with Bolare, where she made some hints. She made some hints concerning rumors of her divorce. Take a listen to her.
I always tell people, that me ya Caribbean and come dream after 35.
What are you saying? That you will not consider marriage before 35? Really?
Me dream after 40 or probably 45.
You are setting the standard.
But to me no be awo. Me say many issue they making, but look, the principle of life, mistake na ye no. Oni obi wo ba ko sesia enya hwe.
But you are a Christian, you know that is not right. You have to be married.
But Bible honemra so na wiase mra so akwani nkwanhia so wo ho.
No, but if you are saying you are being deliberate.
Nyankopon hu se waboni pa be go through into the boni free tato e de man be. Obanie, you know say you can afford food for oban, but oban be kwa bontin. Am obi the fried rice na nada. Do you understand what I say? Intino edru baby a Bible nchreche ne unya akwara no nya ema se oto sanso hwe ni mu a otumi hyede.
Intenti na so de titi ni ye nti ni Bible akwankyere ene nkyerechire na.
Nti se wa
wari nya ne de.
Sa se what ebiso ana onim na enso enka nchem se wanyu ye nkola no we've not done anything like that. O ma me be showa your bibia na enso Joe boy bia or they say like be school. You be fall in love with an attitude maybe now I could
you advise ladies now, if knowing what you know now, to get married after 35.
Think of marriage after 35 or get married after 35. Wow. Do you know why?
Tell us.
What I have gone through, no, I was happy that every man that I went through, no, young boy to you, young woman sikai, young boy in prime, I'm a many back one channel because life now you go through you be an nya many papa nenet na
you've gone through abuse.
Wow. And you be an nya o mame no papa tenase na umdi nya mesro sa ka ho na sa adwene education ho e de wanyini into there are a lot of people are like me going through what I went through o mame to kwan o papa egu o mame woni o mame nua nete ono nana nete one no wofa one ne anti they go through that into no sa koda no one hwe ya he or she would do a lot of things, end up in prison, give birth 3, 4, 5, a whole lot.
And society gets to judge them.
So you had the famed actress Nanama McBrown having a conversation with Bola Ray on Starr Chat on her stance on marriage and childbirth. But a general overseer of the International Central Gospel Church, IGC, Pastor Mensa Otabil, disagrees. According to him, it is not proper to have kids out of wedlock. He further criticized young people waiting to get rich before marrying. Take a listen to him.
If you are waiting to be rich before you marry, your head is not working. You don't want to marry, but you are sleeping together. What is reserved for marriage? You want it, but you don't want the process. Your head is hurting you. When I was married, my wife would tell you, I didn't have anything. Didn't have a bed, didn't have chair, didn't have cutlery, didn't have plate. The first furniture for our room was benches, discarded benches from the church. Those days we didn't used to sit on nice chairs, benches, and I improved them by painting them white. But we were together. We prayed together. We believed together. Then we moved from benches. Be bold. Marry. Set the date. If you are afraid of veil, don't veil. If you are afraid of gown, don't gown. If you are afraid of wedding cake, don't cake. Just come to the church office. This is the woman I want, this is the man I want. Do you, I do. Go. That's how it's done. Then from there you start together in agreement, praying together, thinking together, planning together, acting together. And you would see that the battles you are fighting now become easier. One gets down, the other pulls him back. The one is down, the other pulls him back. And step by step, step by step, step by step, step by step. That's how your parents got to where they are.
So you had the General Overseer of ICGC, Pastor Mensa Otabil. But Nanama is in the studio. You've been sharing your thoughts on social media, and she joins me in the studio with what you've been saying. Nanama.
Well, Dede, we don't have much time, but the comments were overwhelming. George on Facebook says, brothers, truth be told, don't get married too early. Go on dates, meet other potential partners, know your weaknesses, and work on yourself. When you're ready, you can sail through. Eddie adds, everyone is entitled to his or her opinion. It's up to yourself to screen the information and use that advice or not. This is what has worked for her, but it doesn't mean it will work for everyone else as well. Jacob really loves her points, depending on her experience, so she's not telling anyone to do this or that, but advise if you take or not take, she's okay. Charles simply says, well said. Joyce says her statement is perfect, but she needs some vivid explanation to back it, and I didn't see that from her. In such ages, both genders are fully mature and at least fulfilled in their life. When we move over to Instagram, Isaac says that this is technically promotion of fornication and premarital sex, because how then can you have children before marriage if not through fornication? I'm disappointed in her. Akosia agrees with her. Personally, I haven't lived my life with my parents since I was born, and it made growing up very difficult. And till date, it's still difficult. I've never experienced being loved at home in my life. When we move over to X, Fred says Dr. Mensa Otabil won't be happy with this. Benji adds, if you're an African woman, marry before 27 if you feel ready for it. The African woman suffers a lot anatomically after 30, and marrying at 35 with the intention of having children isn't good for them. If giving birth isn't a reason for your marriage, then do it as she says. The Kaswa Mayor says it's the worst advice ever. Williams says she refers to herself as a Christian but still thinks she can have an opinion and live a life that's contrary to what the word of God says. Their loyalty is divided between God and the world, and they are unstable in everything they do. James chapter 1 verse 8 NLT. May God have mercy on her.
Wow.
Well, that's what they have to say, did it? We don't have time, otherwise we would have spoken about this.
Right. Thank you so much, Nanama, for giving
Pleasure.
us social media comment on the submissions by Nanama McBrown on Starr Chat. But it's time for sports, and Jones is in the studio with sports. Jones.
Right, coach of the national amputee football team, the Black Challenge, Coach Stephen Richard Obeng, says the team has not been paid bonuses for winning gold at the Paralympic Games and for winning the 2024 amputee AFCON held earlier this year in Egypt. The coach was speaking this morning on the sports chat on Starr FM, pointing out that the team have not heard from the Ministry of Youth and Sports even after making accounts to the ministry on monies received from individuals and organizations.
We have submitted a account over a month ago and we've not heard anything from the ministry. Up to date, as I speak with you, we've not heard anything from them. No, they just paid us our DMs for that, and we left the hotel to the various home thinking that the bonuses will drop after that. They have not even requested for our account, not to talk about when we are going to receive it. And we have to sacrifice again to go for the AFCON after being on our bonuses.
He also revealed that some of his players who are yet to return to their clubs in Europe have threatened not to play for the national team anymore.
All of the players, the professional players I called from Turkey, they are still here in Ghana. None of them have traveled because now things are very tough for them. And I think it's only those who will be playing the Champions League that will be leaving very soon to go and join their clubs or the Champions League. All of them that came, their residential permit are expired, which I can give you evidence. And now all this, they have to extend their stay because normally they come and spend 3 months, 4 months before they return back to their club. But this time around, they have exceeded their stay, and some of them have to be calling you, Coach, can you support us because we have to extend our stay. We didn't plan for this, but because our monies are not in. I was there when the best player of the tournament sent me a message, Coach, for this national team, I throw in the towel.
All right, to some breaking news, Manchester City have announced the return of Alke Gundogan on a free transfer from Barcelona. City face Ipswich Town in the EPL this weekend on Saturday at 2 p.m. That's all for sports. My name is Jones Haji.
All right. Thank you so much, Jones, for giving us sports. And that will bring us to the end of Starr Midday News here on Starr 103.5 FM. Have a wonderful weekend.